Alright, hello! This video is a suggestion from Not Ryan, one of our longtime fans in our Discord server. If you haven't joined the Discord, then do it. But he suggested I fix the Sony Spider-Man Universe with the catch that I can't remove anything that is coming out, like Kraven or Venom 3, and just go from there. But since I don't know the story of Kraven or Venom 3, let's just go from here. And I'm not going to talk about too much about the stories and what I do. I'm mostly going to talk about behind the scenes issues because I firmly believe this universe is a mess beyond belief. It's inconsistent, the movies are not good, it has too many flaws. I'm not a fanfiction channel. If you want to see fanfictions, check out my friend Lewis Fictions. He does a great Spider-Man universe over there. This is mostly how to fix it behind the scenes and talk about the stuff that people don't really talk about, because making good stories is one thing, but there's a lot that the Sony universe needs to do before it even becomes a good universe. First things first, we need two things behind the scenes. The first thing is something most people don't really think about, but it needs to exist, and that is a head of creative. Much like Kevin Feige or James Gunn, if you've noticed, every successful shared universe has one creative voice to help drive it. The MCU has Kevin Feige, the Conjuring universe had James Gunn, the Walking Dead universe even has Scott Gimple, and DC has the right idea with James Gunn. It's incredible to me that a studio can just think making a shared universe doesn't need someone at the forefront. Look at all the failed shared universes and you'll see the same pattern. The Dark Universe for Universal had no one at the forefront, just random movies that just happened to be in the same universe. And they try to shove in as much as they can to tell you it's a shared universe, but without someone at the control, you don't really see a direction. And the DCEU post Zack Snyder had great movies, but it also wasn't a great universe. It didn't feel like it was the DC universe. It just felt like movies a part of DC that just so happened to be in the same universe. What Sony needs is to find someone who is 100% going to put all their attention into this universe and just trust them. Avi Arad could unfortunately fill that spot, but no. Please, God, no. I think it should be Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, the writers of the Spider-Verse movies. These guys wrote two of the best Spider-Man movies of all time and have proven they can manage and weave and work with whatever Sony wants to have. Plus, it could work in the Spider-Verse movies as official parts of this interconnected Spider-Verse cinematic universe, so already two critically acclaimed movies will be a part of this franchise. Honestly, the second behind the scenes thing is pretty simple. I'm not gonna go too much in depth about it, but stop hiring writers for pennies on the dollar. The Madam Web and Morbius writer clearly doesn't know how to write a screenplay. Stop giving him movies. Shell out the extra money to hire great writers. It'll cost Sony at first, but in the long run, it will be worth it. So that's the stuff they need to do behind the scenes. It's pretty simple things. You just need somebody to push it forward. Now, another thing that successful cinematic universe have is a person at the forefront. Not behind the scenes, but I mean a character at the forefront. Marvel had Iron Man, and then when Iron Man died, you are kind of seeing this mess of who's the next person to take up that mantle, and it's kind of a mess right now. DC had Superman, and it's the same thing. When Superman stopped showing up, everything went crazy. The Conjuring universe has the Warren family, and that universe has mainly stayed consistent because it ties in with the Warren family, and they still connect with the Annabelle movies and all that. So it goes without saying that this universe called Sony's Spider-Man Universe needs Spider-Man. You could say Venom is the main character of the Sonyverse. Yes, he is right now, but he shouldn't be. It should be Spider-Man. Now, the question is, which Spider-Man should it be? I personally think if there is a Spider-Man in this shared universe, it should 100% be Miles Morales. He's fresh. He's a Spider-Man who's growing in popularity. It'll leave Tom Holland alone to do his thing in the MCU. However, I know Sony isn't going to do that. Whether it be because they don't want to risk it or they just want to keep doing Peter Parker forever, whatever it is, I don't think Sony's going to want to take the risk and will leave that up to the MCU to introduce Miles. But at the core, this universe needs Spider-Man desperately. It doesn't matter who it is. It just needs a Spider-Man. Venom 3 looks like it's the end of this first phase of Sony movies, and I think it's a perfect point to introduce Spider-Man into this universe. Have him be a rookie Spider-Man or some Spider-Man with experience. It doesn't matter. I know Madam Web introduced us to Peter Parker, so if Madam Web is in the Sonyverse, which, by the way, apparently it's not. Apparently it's not even part of the Sony universe. It's a completely different thing, which is, why did he even make the movie then? But assuming Peter Parker in the Madam Web movie is the Peter Parker of the Sonyverse, that would mean he'd be around 20 years old by the time Venom 3 comes around, maybe even older. So he'd probably either be a Spider-Man who's been doing this for 5 years, or if it's not the Madam Web Peter Parker, then it could just be any random person. And honestly, I'd prefer it to be a rookie Spider-Man. They just need to add it and need to do it in a way that doesn't mess up everything they've already built. Bottom line is, the way to fix this universe isn't to stop making solo villain movies. Because if you pick the right villains, it could 100% work. It just needs focus behind the scenes. Someone to steer the ship and not throw everything at the wall willy-nilly. We don't need El Muerto. We don't need Hypno Hustler. We didn't need Morbius. Venom I can excuse because Venom is a popular enough character that warrants a solo movie. We didn't need Madam Web. There's so many other characters in the pantheon of Spider-Man characters that you can make a million solo movies and not run out, yet they keep picking the wrong ones. This universe also needs a Spider-Man, no matter who plays him. It needs to have a Spider-Man. And if you worry about having Spider-Man in all these movies and having to pay this actor so much money to show up in all these movies, guys, you've done CGI Spider-Man before. You've shown Spider-Man to be completely CGI behind a suit. Just have him voice the character for a cameo and CGI him into the movie. You don't need to take off his mask. He can just show up. I think another way to fix the scrappy universe is for Sony to just swallow their pride, compromise where it's needed, and just make a deal to have this be part of the MCU, as this interconnected tumor that only affects the Spider-Man side of things. Maybe give up a bit of your creative control with MCU Spider-Man in exchange for being in charge of doing the spin-offs. The problem with Sony, and this is just Sony overall, not just with this universe, they focus on getting money right now and not getting money in the long run. This spin-off universe could be beyond profitable. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if people say this is a bad idea to make this Sony universe. It could work. It could make money. But they've clearly shown that they just want to make a quick buck and not have it be in for the long run. If Sony stops thinking little and goes for a big picture and establishes some control on where the ship is going, then they have a chance. There's just no way to fix it without some control behind the scenes. Oh yeah, I'm sick by the way, so if I sound nasally or disgusting in this video, it's because I'm sick. Remember to subscribe, and I love you. I just, mwah.